You don't need more time. You need more clarity. That's the truth no one tells you when you feel like you're failing. When your days are full of reactions, of regrets, of words you can't take back. You don't lack intelligence. You lack that one breath of silence between the impulse and the action. And the Stoics knew that single breath could save a life, a relationship, even a kingdom. You say you're trying to control yourself, but why are your reactions still controlling you? Why do certain people, certain moments, still pull you out of your own mind and throw you into chaos? Why is it so easy to lose yourself when all you wanted was to stay calm? This is not a modern problem, this is an ancient one. Epictetus called it slavery. Marcus Aurelius called it madness. Seneca said the cost of a single uncontrolled reaction could be the ruin of a man. And they were right. Because in the moment you explode, you reveal how little of yourself you truly own. You become a puppet, not of others, but of your own untrained instincts. What you're about to learn isn't a list of rules. It's not a set of quotes to make you feel wise. These are principles forged in fire, built to withstand grief, betrayal, injustice, built for emperors who were hated by their people, for philosophers who were exiled, for men who had every right to explode and chose stillness instead. These 11 principles aren't about becoming cold. They're about becoming unshakable. And you don't need to memorize them. You need to live them, moment by moment, choice by choice, reaction by reaction. Because every time you don't react, you reclaim territory, territory of the self. You become harder to manipulate, harder to offend, harder to break. That's not detachment, that's clarity. And clarity is earned in discomfort, in silence, in restraint. That's where the real fight is, not outside you, but within. So if you've ever said, "I wish I could stop overreacting," this is your moment. If you've lost people, lost respect, or lost control because of something you said or did in a second of fury, this is where you take it back. You can't undo what's been done, but you can rebuild. You can train your mind. You can become still again, not numb, alive, but unshaken, present, but powerful. We begin not with suppression, but with calibration, with the first truth, that the Stoic is not emotionless. He simply does not let emotion drive. You've been told that Stoicism is about being emotionless, that to be calm is to feel nothing, that clarity comes when you kill your heart. That's a lie. And if you believe it, you'll never master yourself. You'll suppress. You'll explode. You'll confuse numbness with strength. But the Stoic doesn't run from emotion. He stands in it, observes it, refines it. He trains not to be unfeeling, but to feel without drowning, to care deeply and still respond with precision. Clarity isn't cold. It's warm. It's forged in fire and shaped by restraint. When Marcus Aurelius lost his children, his wife, his health, he didn't become stone. He wrote with compassion, with grief, with hope. That's what you must understand. The Stoic doesn't become less human. He becomes more awake to what it means to be human and learns not to let pain command the ship. Anger? Yes, he feels it. But he doesn't let it write the next chapter. Fear? Yes. But it doesn't decide his tone of voice. Frustration? Of course. But it doesn't own his hands or his tongue. A cold mind isn't one that shuts emotion out. It's one that sees clearly despite the storm, that looks pain in the face and doesn't flinch, that receives joy without becoming addicted to it, that walks through betrayal without planting the seeds of revenge. A cold mind is like a surgeon's hand, steady, focused, efficient, not because it lacks feeling, but because it's been trained not to tremble when it matters. And the warm heart? That's what the Stoic protects. That's the sanctuary. It's easy to be silent when you don't care. But to stay silent when your heart is on fire, that's discipline, that's power, that's clarity. To be soft and not fragile, to love and not be led by it, to serve and not seek applause. The Stoic lives with warmth, but he channels it. He doesn't let it spill recklessly into the world. Because he knows some emotions are sacred, and sacred things deserve precision, not impulse. The danger isn't in feeling too much, it's in reacting too fast. You've been conditioned to believe that your reaction proves you're alive, but it doesn't. Your reaction often proves how unconscious you still are. Real life begins in the pause, that sacred space between the wave and your response to it. And if you've never stood still in that space, you've never truly chosen your life. You've only echoed what was thrown at you. That's what Stoicism trains, the ability to hold a storm without becoming it. Not to freeze, but to burn inwardly without losing direction. That's why the world misreads Stoics, because most people have never seen fire that doesn't destroy. Only those who've lived in chaos understand the kind of peace that doesn't come from silence, but from strength. If you want clarity, don't aim to feel less. Aim to react less. Aim to train your mind to become still while your heart stays open. When insulted, the Stoic feels it, but does not return it. When praised, he smiles, but does not inflate. When loved, he loves, but is not enslaved. That is not weakness. That is not detachment. That is clarity. That is ownership. That is freedom. There's a space so small most people never see it. It lives right between what happens to you and what you choose to do next. It lasts about 3 seconds, sometimes less. It's the moment your face heats up after someone disrespects you. The beat right after a message breaks your heart. The breath just before you yell, reply, slam, post, quit. That space, that window, is where your power lives. It's where you get to decide whether you're ruled by emotion or guided by reason. And most people never claim it. They react, they explode, they justify, then they regret. Epictetus called this the frontier of freedom, because everything outside of that moment is the world. But what happens inside it, that's the self. That's where clarity is born or lost. And in modern terms, neuroscience confirms it. Your emotional brain reacts in milliseconds. Your rational brain lags behind, which means if you don't pause, if you don't train yourself to wait, you'll always speak from the oldest part of your brain, the part that fights, flees, or freezes, not the part that leads. People say they want peace, but then they give away their choice in that tiny window, again and again. Every time you don't pause, you reinforce a loop. That loop becomes a habit. That habit becomes a character trait, and eventually, it becomes identity. That's just how I am, they say. No, that's just how many untrained reactions you've repeated. The Stoic sees the window, and he protects it. He enlarges it. He practices it. Not just in crisis, but in the small, daily things. Someone cuts him off in traffic. Someone posts a lie about him. His ego rises. His breath shortens. He feels the old self want to fight. But he doesn't obey. He lets it pass, like a cloud, like a shadow on the wall, because he knows what lives on the other side. Peace, power, clarity. Not the kind that's loud, the kind that's earned. You say you want control. Here it is, in those 3 seconds. But you have to be awake enough to notice them. You have to want peace more than the thrill of being right. You have to love your future more than you love the sound of your own anger. That's what this is, a test of allegiance. Are you loyal to your pain or your purpose, to your pride or to your peace? The people who win in life, truly win, are the ones who respond from vision, not reaction. They don't hand over their dignity in a fit of rage. They don't sabotage their future to prove a point in the present. They feel the heat, but they don't let it cook their soul. They wait, they breathe, they decide. That's what separates them. Not perfection, not detachment, just ownership of that window. So the next time your blood rises, remember this. What you do in the next 3 seconds is more important than what was done to you. That's where your life turns. That's where your character forms. That's where you either spiral or rise. If you can own that window, Even just once a day, you're no longer a slave to impulse. You've become a student of clarity, and over time, that student becomes a master. The cycle always feels justified in the beginning. Someone disrespects you, so you reply. They push, so you push harder. They lie, so you expose. They mock, so you crush. You tell yourself it's fairness, it's balance, that you're just giving back what they gave you. But deep down, you know it isn't justice you're after. It's revenge, it's validation, it's control. You're not settling the score, you're keeping the war alive. And in that loop, you become exactly what you hate. Their darkness becomes yours. Their chaos becomes your atmosphere. Seneca warned about this, that to retaliate is to become the very thing that wounded you. Because in the moment you decide to strike back, you let the offense mutate into obsession. You begin living from the wound instead of healing from it. And worse, you become predictable. Easy to provoke. Anyone can control you now. They just need to press the right button, and you'll perform exactly as expected. The Stoic breaks the loop not out of weakness, but out of strength, because he knows every reaction is a payment, and the cost is often dignity, clarity, inner peace. When insulted, he doesn't strike. He doesn't seethe. He observes, not with arrogance, but with distance, because the goal is not to win the argument. The goal is not to humiliate the offender. The goal is to remain intact, unmoved, unbroken. That's the real victory, to keep your soul untangled from theirs. You think they get away with it if you don't react. But listen closely. No one ever gets away with anything. They live with the person they've become. That's their consequence. You don't need to add to it. You only need to refuse to join it, because the moment you answer from the same energy, you've already lost. Not to them, to yourself. You've lowered your standard. You've become easy prey for every insult, every glance, every passive comment. The Stoic doesn't retaliate because he sees the trap. He knows every enemy who tries to provoke you is secretly trying to shape you. If they can pull you into their pattern, they win. Not because they defeat you, but because they turn you into them. They turn your clarity into chaos, your calm into combat. And in that transformation, your power evaporates. So what do you do instead? You pause, you detach. You allow the noise to echo without echoing it yourself. That doesn't mean you're passive, it means you're precise. You choose when and how to act, and only if it serves your long game. The Stoic isn't silent because he's afraid. He's silent because he's calculating, because some battles aren't worth the burn, because some victories aren't victories at all, just loud losses in disguise. When you resist retaliation, you reclaim control. You remind yourself who you are. You protect the standard you've been building in silence, and over time, you become untouchable. Not because no one attacks you, but because nothing sticks. They throw insults, and you don't carry them. They question you, and you don't explain yourself to chaos. They try to hurt you, and you give them no target. Breaking the cycle doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It doesn't mean you forget. It means you choose not to poison yourself with the energy of your enemies. Because in the end, the most powerful move is not to destroy them. It's to not become them. It's not the action that defines you. It's the space before it. The delay. That sacred pause between what stirs inside and what you allow to come out. Most people skip this. They feel something and respond immediately. They confuse speed with strength. But speed without clarity is chaos. The Stoic doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't rush to defend. He delays, not to suppress, but to sharpen. That delay is not hesitation, it's discipline, a training ground, a filter between impulse and intention. You live in a culture that rewards immediacy. Say it now, react now, prove your point now. But that urgency is a trap, because once you move too fast, you give up your edge. You give away the one thing the Stoic protects at all costs: sovereignty of self. You've seen it in yourself. You write a message angry, then delete it the next morning. You shout something you don't mean, then spend weeks repairing the damage. You jump into a decision, then wonder why you're anxious later. That's what happens when the delay is lost, when there's no moment of resistance before reaction. The Stoic doesn't avoid expression. He just delays it long enough to test it. Like steam in a pipe. If you release it too soon, you get noise. If you delay it with purpose, it powers something. The delay gives your mind a moment to rise above the surface of emotion. A chance to ask, is this true? Is this useful? Is this mine? Or am I just repeating a pattern I never questioned? This discipline isn't about bottling emotion. It's about refining it, directing it, turning heat into light. You don't need to stop feeling. You need to stop obeying the first feeling. That's the key, because the first feeling is often raw, unfiltered, inherited. The second is yours. The second is chosen. The Stoic waits for that one. This delay becomes armor, in negotiation, in conflict, in love. You hear something offensive, but you don't flinch. You receive news that stings, but you don't lash out. You're not detached. You're anchored. Because you've trained your nervous system not to flail. You've rewired your reflex from react to reorient. That doesn't mean you speak less. It means you speak last, with clarity, not combustion. Think of the way a skilled warrior moves. Slow, deliberate, silent, until the precise moment to strike. That's what the Stoic practices. Not passivity, but timing. Not silence for its own sake, but the kind that makes your words land with impact. You don't waste arrows. You wait until they count. People will try to provoke you. They'll rush you. They'll bait you into fast responses. And if you answer on their terms, you've already stepped into their frame. The delay gives you time to choose your frame, to lead the rhythm instead of dancing to theirs. This applies even to joy. The Stoic delays indulgence not to reject pleasure, but to clarify it. He pauses before celebrating, before spending, before surrendering to the high, because he knows even good emotions can become tyrants if not tempered. Every delay sharpens discernment. Every pause becomes a rehearsal of self-mastery. Over time, this practice builds something rare: stillness under pressure, grace under fire. That's not born from talent. It's carved from repetition, from catching yourself again and again before the flame spills, until the pause becomes second nature, until the delay feels safer than the reaction ever did. The modern world moves fast, but the Stoic moves intentionally. In every pause, he builds a fortress. In every delay, he rewrites the script. And while others lose themselves in the noise of immediacy, he remains steady, not because he doesn't feel, but because he refuses to be ruled. There is a moment when a feeling rises and you think, I must say this now. I have to show them. I need to feel this fully. But the truth is, not every emotion deserves a stage. Not every spark deserves wood. The Stoic knows that feeding every emotion is how chaos begins, and so he practices something rare: emotional fasting. Not suppression, not denial, but restraint by wisdom. The ability to let an emotion exist without letting it consume, to let it pass through without letting it camp inside. You fast from food to gain control over the body. You fast from attention to rebuild self-worth. And you fast from emotions not to become a statue, but to stop worshiping every passing feeling like it's truth. Because feelings are waves, and waves don't ask permission. They just rise. And if you indulge them all, your life will drown under noise that never quiets. Seneca wrote that no man is more miserable than one who surrenders to every emotion that enters him. Because that man is not living, he is being lived. He is owned by moods, by others' words, by hormones, by untrained responses that parade themselves as authenticity. But emotion alone is not authenticity. Emotion is raw material. You choose what to build from it, or if you build at all. The Stoic doesn't reject feeling. He just refuses to overfeed it. Because he knows indulgence is not freedom. Indulgence is dependence. The more you obey every surge of emotion, the more addicted you become to being ruled. You start to believe that because you felt, you must act. Because you're hurt, you must attack. Because you're afraid, you must retreat. Because you're excited, you must say yes. But that's not choice. That's enslavement dressed as honesty. Emotional fasting breaks that chain. It gives you back your breath. It teaches you that it's possible to feel deeply and still not respond. To experience something fully and still not be driven by it. That's the core of Stoic freedom. Restraint not as punishment, but as clarity. You don't react to prove you're alive. You don't explode to prove your worth. You don't spiral to prove you care. You fast to remember who you are without the noise. In a world that wants you to overshare, overfeel, overdisplay, the Stoic holds. He watches the emotion rise like a tide. He names it. He honors it. And then he lets it move on. He doesn't feast. He doesn't starve. He waits. And if the emotion returns stronger, with wisdom, with alignment, then maybe it deserves expression. But not in its raw form. Only once it's been tested by time and thought. Emotional fasting also teaches you which emotions are real and which are just echoes. You begin to see how many of your reactions are borrowed, copied from others, imitated from childhood, triggered by nothing but old patterns disguised as new events. And you learn, just because it's loud doesn't mean it's true. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's wise. There's strength in not rushing to explain, in not seeking sympathy, in not broadcasting your pain the moment it appears. That silence? It's not hiding, it's sharpening. You fast not because you're avoiding, but because you're choosing. You're selecting which feelings deserve your voice, which ones deserve your time, which ones align with the man or woman you're becoming. Over time, this becomes natural. The pause, the breath, the question. Does this feeling serve me or does it just want to feed? That alone can shift your life. Because when you stop feeding every emotion, you finally have the strength to nourish what matters. Presence, purpose, peace. You don't react. You respond. Not because you've killed emotion, but because you've mastered appetite. You think strength is shown in the moment chaos strikes. That when the bad news comes, or the betrayal lands, or life breaks its promise again, that's when character is revealed. But the Stoic knows otherwise. Strength is not built in the storm. It's built before it, quietly, privately, in silence, in thought, in rehearsal. This is the principle of premeditatio malorum, the meditation on what can go wrong. Not to become anxious, but to become prepared, not to expect suffering, but to become unshaken by it. The Stoic rehearses what might go wrong, not as a pessimist, but as a strategist. He closes his eyes and walks through loss, rejection, illness, delay. He imagines his plans failing, people turning away, time running out. Not to dwell in fear, but to train his response. To visualize not just what could happen, but how he will respond when it does. Calm, still, rational. He sees the chaos before it arrives, so when it does, it no longer owns him. Most people don't do this. They avoid the thought. They say, I don't want to attract bad energy, or let's think positive. But avoidance is not protection, and hope without preparation is self-sabotage. When crisis hits, they collapse. Not because the event was too strong, but because they were too fragile, too surprised, too invested in a life that always goes as planned. The Stoic strips himself of that illusion. He practices death, he practices rejection, he practices failure, and not just vaguely. He visualizes the details, the feeling of it, the sound, the weight. Then he breathes through it, until his nervous system recognizes it, until the unknown becomes known, until the fear loses its teeth. This is the opposite of anxiety. Anxiety is the fear of a future you refuse to face. Premeditation is the peace of having already faced it. The Stoic knows that if he only prepares for the ideal, he will break in the real. So he trains in the dark, in silence, when no one's watching. That's where the real victories happen, before the battle begins. And the training doesn't end there. He also rehearses who he will be in the face of it. Not just what will happen, but how he will carry himself. Will he lose his composure? Will he abandon his principles? Or will he remain anchored? That's the part that matters, because no one escapes pain. But how you meet it, that's where freedom lives. Modern life resists this. It tells you to avoid negative thoughts, to stay optimistic. But the Stoic is not a cheerleader. He is a builder. He builds emotional muscle, not motivational slogans. He doesn't drown in worst-case scenarios. He walks through them calmly, as if to say, even this I can bear. Even here, I will not abandon myself. When you live this way, chaos stops being terrifying. It becomes familiar, not welcome, but manageable. You lose the habit of panic. You stop being shocked by life's cruelty. You stop being paralyzed by bad timing. You learn to greet misfortune like an old visitor, not with open arms, but with readiness. That readiness changes everything, because life will test you. People will betray you. Money will be lost. Health will waver. Loved ones will vanish. The dream will shift. And when it does, the untrained will ask, why me? But the Stoic will say, I rehearsed this. I feared it once. I faced it twice. But I will not collapse now. In this practice, you become less reactive, not because you don't feel, but because you've already felt. Not because you're numb, but because you've trained. While others chase comfort, you build capacity. And in the day of reckoning, that capacity becomes your armor. Most people carry their day into the next without knowing it. The words they didn't say, the emotions they didn't face, the shame they pretended not to feel. It all lingers. It builds like dust in a room never cleaned. And over time, that emotional residue becomes a weight, a blur, a numbness. You wake up foggy, not because you slept poorly, but because you never cleared the day before. That's why the Stoic ends each day with a ritual, a mental sweep, a quiet audit, not to judge, not to punish, but to restore clarity. Marcus Aurelius did this each night. In his meditations, he wrote not for others, but for himself. A conversation with his own conscience, a space to observe without flattery, without self-pity, just facts. Where did I falter? Where did I act from impulse instead of reason? Where did I allow emotion to shape me instead of principle? This is not about guilt. This is about refinement, alignment, the quiet art of returning to your center. The modern mind resists this. It wants distraction before sleep, a screen, a feed, a noise to drown out the unrest. But that unrest is sacred. It's the signal that something remains unresolved. And if you ignore it, it festers. You dream heavy. You wake anxious. You carry fragments of yesterday into today, and so the cycle continues. But the Stoic refuses to carry mental clutter into a new morning. He sweeps, he clears, he makes space. This ritual is simple. It begins with honesty. A few minutes in silence, eyes closed, or pen in hand. Not to write beautifully, but to see clearly. To confess even silently where you slipped, where your words cut too sharply, where your ego won the conversation, where you allowed anxiety to narrate your decisions. You don't excuse, you don't condemn, you observe, and then you decide. Tomorrow, I do better. This is not a performance. It's a purification, a reset. Just as the body needs rest, the mind needs release. And not the kind that numbs, the kind that frees. You empty what's full. You recenter what drifted. You remind yourself of your values, not just your victories, because sometimes the winds blind you. But it's in the tiny stumbles, the look you gave, the tone you used, the breath you withheld, that your real growth waits. This practice builds self-respect, because over time, you begin to act not just from instinct, but with awareness that you'll face yourself later, that your conscience is waiting, not to punish, but to mirror. And when you live that way, you grow faster. You catch the pattern sooner. You stop carrying the same regrets forward day after day. You stop becoming the person you can't look in the eye at night. The Stoic knows, if the mind isn't cleaned, it clutters. If the conscience isn't heard, it numbs. And numbness is the slow death of clarity. So he sweeps, every night. No fanfare, no public display. Just a moment with the inner self. A check-in, a reset. And from that, strength grows. When was the last time you asked yourself, with full honesty, was I the person I wanted to be today? Not did I win? Not was I better than them? But was I aligned? That question is not for shame. It's for awakening. And if you can answer it nightly, even with a whisper of progress, your life will transform. Because clarity isn't born in the morning. It's prepared the night before. In silence, in truth, in the ritual of returning to yourself over and over, until the man you become is someone you no longer fear facing. Most of what offends you was never yours to carry. Most of what triggers you was never meant for you. But because you've been trained to react, to personalize, to internalize every glance, every tone, every silence, you end up drowning in battles that were never yours. You answer attacks that weren't aimed at you. You feel rejected by people who were just broken. You react to noise as if it were truth, and in that confusion, you lose your center. The Stoic sees through this. He learns to ask one question before reacting. Is this actually about me? And more often than not, the answer is no. The insult wasn't personal. The cold response wasn't about you. The chaos in someone else's face had roots in pain you'll never see. When you believe it's all about you, you step into a fight that has nothing to do with your soul. You bleed for strangers. You argue with projections. You burn energy chasing shadows. This isn't apathy. It's discernment. The Stoic doesn't respond because he's detached. He doesn't respond because he refuses to carry pain that doesn't belong to him. You don't put out every fire you see. You don't catch every rock thrown into the air. Some things, many things, pass right through you because you choose not to be the container for someone else's noise. In the modern world, this is power. Because everywhere you go, people are discharging their wounds through comments, through sarcasm, through silence, through exaggeration. They are not attacking you. They are leaking. But if you don't pause and recognize that, you absorb it. You become reactive to energy that had no name until you gave it yours. The Stoic stands still, not to be superior, but to protect his clarity. He does not join every storm. He does not answer every jab. He does not step onto every battlefield. Because he knows what's truly his and what isn't. He knows that attention is fuel, and some fires die when you stop feeding them. It takes practice, because ego wants to reply. Injustice wants a voice. But the Stoic separates offense from identity. He reminds himself, just because it hurt doesn't mean it was true. Just because it stung doesn't mean I should strike. Just because they're in pain doesn't mean I have to inherit it. This is emotional sovereignty. The ability to stay clean inside when the world throws dirt. The wisdom to see beyond the surface of someone's behavior. To understand that people lash out from pain, from confusion, from fear. And if you absorb all of it, you become a carrier of pain too. A new node in the chain of reaction. But if you pause, if you look closer, you can see what's yours and what's not. That's what Stoic clarity gives you. The ability to let some things fall without picking them up. To let some people go without needing to prove your worth. To let noise pass through you like wind through an open window. This kind of restraint isn't natural, it's trained. You catch yourself about to respond. You stop. You ask, does this serve my values? Is this reaction coming from strength or from fear? Is this about me, or am I just reacting to something wounded in them? Each time you do this, you reclaim energy. You protect peace. You move through life with less resistance. And you realize not reacting is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's the decision to choose stillness over story, clarity over chaos, presence over performance. You're not here to fix everyone's pain. You're not here to prove your value every time someone's cold. You're not here to catch every emotional grenade thrown your way. You're here to live with intention, to move from truth, to guard your clarity like your life depends on it, because it does. And if that's the kind of strength you want to keep building, stay close to this path. Subscribe, reflect, and let your thoughts breathe below.